Hello and welcome to the Vault of Shadows. This is the Vault Keeper, and we are taking a look in this video at the brand new Ghostface masks being released in this new year, still new year of 2025. And here you see the first mask that we're going to be focusing on. This is going in the order of the website, Fun World's website, fun-world.net, if you want to check out all of their products. This also will be the first of probably, I would think, 3 videos that I'll be doing. This one is going to cover primarily the Ghostface variants, and then the second one will deal with any Ghostface related products, and the third one is going to maybe cross over into those first two a little bit with something that I just discovered this year. Maybe I missed it in the past, but I think it's the first year Fun World has this category. It's something that they call Summer Ween, and the very idea of it actually I think is kind of cool, even though I'm not a summer guy at all. More on that in that video. We are going to focus, though, in this one here just on the Ghostface variants. Now, we have for 20 and 25, we have the new Ghostface Aged Devil right here, Devil Mask. And the deal with this mask for me is that when these first came out, the original Devil Face masks, I never did get one. And by the time I was able to find one online, it was sold out there too. I could never find them in stores, and so I said, well, I guess I'm not getting that. Then they brought them back as Dead by Daylight video game tie-ins, and they had that kind of pleathery material. Didn't do much for me. So I moved on and said, well, one day I'll get them. Well, then this is revealed, and I believe this catalog came out, if not last week, the week before, perhaps earlier. But here we have the Aged Ghost Face Devil, and I like this for several reasons. One, I feel like it is comes alive a little bit more than that glossy red devil mask. So I really like that. I like the aged look. And I also like how it gives, as we can see, this ghostly hand here that also dwells disembodied here in the Vault of Shadows, as it will help us to illustrate. We have these horns here that take on kind of almost bone-like quality with the aging there and the cracked paint here. Now, I don't know if this is a hard mask. Judging by the way that, to me, my eye, after looking at these masks so many years now, this to me looks like the kind of vinyl that's used for the ultra whites and the aged masks themselves, right? Not glossy, terribly glossy, but it does have the aged paint and crackle effect, if you will. And it's on a standard, what appears to be a standard poly shroud. And I don't know, is this some kind of new flared design? Is this like sewn in? Or did it just fall this way when the model put it on? I don't know. But I like this mask quite a bit, and this is going to be definitely an addition to my collection here in the Vault of Shadows this year. Going to something related to this is, and I'll talk more about costumes in the accessories, Ghostface related accessories and other accoutrements that'll be made available this year. But I wanted to just touch on this because it's related to this mask specifically. This is the Aged Devil Face, and there's a specific costume now, and I really like this. In fact, I may buy this because it has these drapes on it that are kind of tattered, and the red is an interesting design. It's not something, honestly, that I would have gone with. I think probably what I would have preferred would have been something that is much more just spattered, and it kind of looks like it right here, and just solid red here on the drapes. This is okay, and this is a little almost like it was just, a pattern that was painted on. I think it should have been something a little bit more kind of just like blood spatter all over this Ghostface shroud and or hood and robe. But I still think it's really cool, and I kind of think I might have to buy this here. I will hope it comes in in all sizes there. So that I wanted to share, even though it's not a mask, it is tied directly to the previous mask. This, I think, is a brilliant addition to the lineup here. Whoever at Fun World came up with this, man, I think this is great. So what we have here is the Ghostface and it is called here. I don't see if I see it mentioned here on their page. These are called Ghostface DoD masks. Now, that's not Department of Defense. I know that's your first thought. It is Day of the Dead. They maybe should have put the T in there. At any rate, Day of the Dead masks, Sugar Skull Ghostface masks, and I think what a brilliant combination of Halloween and Day of the Dead. This is the kind of as you see there, it says Killer for All Seasons. This is a subline that I think they began last year, maybe 2023, but I think it was last year, 2024, where Fun World is taking the Ghostface design and they're kind of crossing over into other holidays. I think that's pretty genius. Some of it, if you've seen the Ghostface Easter Bunny, you might go, well, I don't know if that works. I'm going to buy that eventually, though, because I think it's cool. And it is silly, but I think it's still cool. Plus, Easter Unlimited, right? So I think it's a nice little twist on that. Back to these Sugar Skull masks. I don't know if I'll buy these, not because I don't like them. At some point, every collector, allegedly, right? We tell ourselves at least, oh, I've got to draw a line somewhere. Well, it depends. If as of now, with the other masks on this list, no, this is not really a priority. But I tell you, I see them in person. They're readily available. I probably will, at the very least, end up with the white one here. But this is some great paintwork and design here. I'm going to go ahead and assume, probably wrongly so, but I think we're dealing with, again, that ultra white type of vinyl. Could be hard plastic, but the way this is painted here tells me it is, and it has that painted texture of the vinyl. Could be wrong, but nevertheless, very cool, and it comes in an assortment of colors here. Now, this is another genius idea, and I find this very interesting, and I'm going to talk about this too in a future video, probably next week. I'm going to move on looking at 2025 Halloween products, and we'll be looking at the offerings from the folks over at Trick or Treat Studios. They have, and I actually have these masks. They came in a couple of weeks back. I'll be reviewing them here in the Vault of Shadows, but they have taken the initiative upon themselves, and they're able to do this legally, to make their own, what they call, they're hockey masks, right? But they're clearly Jason Voorhees hockey masks, and they are much more screen accurate than any of those Chinese masks, right? They're usually eBay masks, or they're called China masks, because that's where they're made. And those are great, and I've painted many of those, and you have guys like Big Hush on YouTube who does an amazing job with those. These are a little more expensive, about $20, but they are screen accurate. I'm guessing they're made from a movie mold of one of those hockey masks, and they're amazing. And Justin Mabry has also made the hillbilly mask, latex mask, full latex mask, which is, when you look at it, you go, that's Jason Voorhees. They're not calling it that because of legality and the rights and all that. But it should be noted that the rights holders that own Friday the 13th right now don't know what they're doing. They canceled a game everybody loved. I'm not a gamer, but I watched the gameplay, and everybody was talking about Jason again. Without a movie, that was a genius way to get him back into the consciousness of folks that don't maybe know the films that well. And let's go ahead and cancel it. We don't have another game. We don't have a movie. We don't have a TV show. And we don't have any new masks or products coming out. It's all the old kind of stuff there with their folks over at Ruby's. Tired and boring and dull. Well, good on Trick or Treat Studios, and good on the folks over at Fun World to say, no, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cash in a little bit on this, because there's a hunger for Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees in particular. So we have your standard. Now, this is clearly with that sheen. This is a hard plastic mask. It has the holes in there, the vent holes, and the snap attachments here at the bottom, just like a Jason hockey mask would have. And then it looks like it's got, and you can see the straps through the eyes here. It's got the three attachments here, the three snap points, and here is a weathered version, right? Which is kind of how we really don't ever see Jason's hockey mask pristine. And here we see it nice and weathered, and it's really a pretty great job. I mean, the weathering that they have done on these weathered masks, starting with the Scream 6 mask now, I think the last 2 years, they're bringing that back again this year in several different ways. And so adding to that, and they seem to really have a good job I think they do a great job of this. Again, mass produced masks, right? So you're going to find different, as I covered in October when I reviewed some of those that were the aged masks available at Walmart this year, as opposed to last year where they were not available at Walmart. They're different molds, but the paint jobs will vary. But again, talking about in the case of Walmart, it was an $8 mask. So you can always punch that up with your own paint, have somebody else do it if you want, a rehauler. But these look great as they are. So really excited for these. Then we're moving on to something that honestly I kind of wish that Fun World would have called me, the Vault Keeper of the Vault of Shadows here, and said, "Hey, I know we know you're a big celebrity there on YouTube. What with your 6 viewers, but we were wondering if you maybe could give could give us some insight into what I think is supposed to be or is similar to." What would be a Mardi Gras ghost face. What we have here is this is the Jester bling mask, and it is purple with some silver bling and some purple bling. And this is, it's got a sparkle shroud, which I think is nice, and it's a sparkle shroud not in the style of the 25th anniversary mask, which we've had now wonderfully for the last few years. And what I like about it is that if you wanted to put a more standard sparkle shroud on a mask, you could buy this, take it off, and then you could just put a poly shroud on this. As far as the bling, I have zero interest, don't care at all, not my thing, but I would love to see, and again, I know you're listening, Fun World, to do a Mardi Gras mask, here's what you do. You use your sparkle fabric, but you make it gold sparkle fabric, and then you have a ghost face mask, and you split it right down the middle with paint. One side is green, the other side is purple, and you've got a Mardi Gras ghost face. It's that simple, and I would buy a bunch of those, being that the Vault of Shadows is here in Mardi Gras Central here in South Louisiana. Here we have a new mask again, kind of in the same shiny vein. It also, you'll notice, has that sparkle hood that again is different, and I don't even know if it's the same material as what we see in the 25th anniversary mask, but it's similar certainly, and it's a little bit denser, it looks like, and sparkly as opposed to the general poly shroud. And this is the oil slick disco mask, and not for me, kids. I mean, I more power to whoever likes this. It's the disco ball mask, which they Ghostface mask had last year, but they've got kind of an oil slick appearance to it, and the shroud. And I think again, even if if you just wanted the shroud, you could probably use this for something else. But it is a hard plastic, and it's got this kind of mirrored material on it. And I've seen those. They've been out now. I think last year was the first time we began to get the disco ball Ghostface mask. And this is not just Fun World doing this and bling. This is across the board. Many different companies were doing these things last year. Several allegedly Halloween decoration items had this mirror ball on it pattern, and I thought, well, I mean, it's not really Halloween to me, but what are you going to do? Now, this is the mask that is of these released. This is my priority. It's my favorite. It is a mask that is kind of not one I've really hunted for on eBay, but when these were released way back, the original version, way back in 2011 for Scream 4, I remember thinking I've got to get one of these, and I never found them that frequently in person. And when I did, there was always some reason I didn't pick one up. It was usually a case of, I'll find it again and I'll buy a few. I'll wait for clearance because these aren't going to sell, I didn't think. Well, I was wrong, and I was not very smart. And as a result of that, I missed out. So here we have the new for 2025 Scarecrow mask. I don't know if they're calling it this, but I think version 2 is probably a good name for it. There are some things about it I'm not quite sure that I like in comparison with the original version. I'm not sure how I like this kind of almost kind of a quilted look for it's kind of a thick hood here. The original had a burlap hood, and it was real burlap, and I think was a better way to go. As you can see, there's burlap here on the Ghostface mask itself, probably a hard plastic mask with that on it. At the same time that I compare it and say I would prefer the original, I'm glad to see this back, and this is definitely going to be going on the shelf. Certainly, I imagine easier and less expensive to find compared to the ones from now, Lord, 14 years ago. So, but there it is, Ghostface Scarecrow for 2025. We have another new trend, and I guess this is new. At first, when I saw it, I thought, well, this is weird. It reminds me of the Masters of the Universe villain called Spikor. Those of us from that generation will remember the late 1900s. Will remember Masters of the Universe, and one of the villains was Spikor, and he had these kind of spikes on his chest armor. And this is not unique to this mask, which, by the way, notice also has the sparkle hood. Did this one? No, of course not, because it was a Scarecrow. What was I thinking? But this one has that, again, kind of almost a sparkly type material here. It looks a little thinner than what we saw in those other masks, but this texture, I think, is quite intriguing. Is this almost like a mirrored finish? I'm not sure what's happening there with the mouth. This is interesting because it's not just the Ghostface mask. Several of the items that you're going to see that I'm going to talk about in the next two videos looking at Fun World material for 2025 will have this spiked theme. There is one, for example, it's a spiked pumpkin. Why, where, who? I don't know any. I have no questions or answers to those questions, but there it is. Am I going to get this? We'll see. I'll have to really, hold it and figure out, okay, do I want to add and see how it is in person? That's generally what decides it, unless it's an instant buy for me, like that Age Devil instant buy. Now, folks that don't know, I'm sorry, Fun World has done now, as we saw with the earlier mask there. For Day of the Dead, they've been doing these killer, I forget the exact name, but of other seasons. And they've got a Santa mask. I bought one, right, of course, after Halloween. I found it last year, so I haven't reviewed it here on the channel. And they've got the Easter Bunny. Now they've got the Day of the Dead. And here, new for 2025, is the Ghostface. Oh, here it is, Killer for All Seasons. And here's Ghostface. And what I kind of think is a funny idea about it's like it's a Ghostface, and he's just, you know what he's doing? He's hiding out at other celebrations, other times of year, and he's just putting on a really terrible disguise. I'll just throw on some orange crepe hair and a green hat. Nobody will notice. Everybody's drinking anyway, and then I'll go to town and slaughter everybody. But that's what that's what this is essentially. This is what they did with the Santa mask, where they put the white beard and the hat. Santa hat here. We get the red beard, and we get the nice green, kind of a shamrock. I think it's called the Ghostface Shamrock mask. I could be wrong on that exactly, or maybe just St. Patrick's Day mask, or St. Patty. Maybe forget exactly what the name is, but it could have called it Leprechaun as well. Is this something that I will buy? Yeah, because I believe that I'm Irish, and I'm a sucker for this kind of thing. So this I will buy. Now this is a bit of a change, and the only reason I really show it is because Ghostface is in fact featured, and I don't know if this is new for 2025 in terms of this is the first time that keep saying Spirit, that Fun World is offering this kind of mask, but this LED face switch mask. It's got 25 different face designs that you can switch from. One of them here, Ghostface, and then some others. Here's a pumpkin, which I think a jack-o'-lantern, which is of course necessary, brilliant, since it is Halloween. Here's all the other variations that you can get here. Some really cool stuff. There is a video, and again, I'll have the link to this page, new for 2025, on the Fun World website. You can go see the video of this mask. It's got a clown, it's got a go and a stop sign. It's got a devil, and I think it's a neat mask. Definitely, you're going to be the talk of the party if you wear this. From what I understand, it does switch in a very, let's see, I don't think it mentions it here, but it does on the site. You switch between faces with just a wave of your hand in front of the mask. So you don't have to have a remote. You don't have to press a button. You're wearing this mask. You swipe your hand. I imagine other people's hands as well would work. That could be a lot of fun at a party and could be very cool, I think. Certainly there have been other light-up masks. There are a dime a dozen these days, but this is nice on the part of Fun World to incorporate Ghostface and to, I think, really do some new things with this idea. We then have, again, not for me. I put this in the not for me category. This is the Ghostface Pearl Ghostface mask, or just Pearl Ghostface. I added a Pearl there, or Ghostface. Some things to note. One, we've got the sparkle hood, which I think is great that they are putting this on so many different masks. That is wonderful. You'll notice, and maybe it's not really the case, it almost looks like this is a sparkly material for the eyes. Is that possible? I don't know. But if so, a cool touch. And then you've got this pearl texture. Don't get it. It's not for me. But look, knock yourself out for folks that like it. That's definitely not one that I'll be purchasing. But they're trying something new, and I do think this keeps Ghostface in the consciousness of folks. So we're also now these are Ghostface adjacent. All of the masks that are going to be following. Now, here we have the funny ghost going all the way back to Fantastic Faces, of course, which was where we got Ghostface. Mostly, I mean, there's a long story to where Ghostface really originated. We won't get into that here. But they're bringing back the Happy Ghost, strangely enough, not in white. It's very interesting. They're doing these in two colors. There's going to be green, as you see here. And I love this design. I always have. I think there's kind of a thing here with this mask. It's a little creepy. And, imagine if this had been Ghostface. Would that have worked? I don't know. Probably not. Nothing beats the peanut-eyed ghost, as it was called when it was part of Fantastic Faces. But this is still, to me, those eyes especially, there's something very unsettling about it. I dig it a lot. There's going to be the green, and then, of course, the blue or the purple. I think that's supposed to be purple. It looks blue to me. I have a little bit of color blindness. It's cool to see these back. I really do wish they would have done a white version. Maybe they're testing the waters to see. We then have, of course, Scary Movie, which I came back a few years ago, this particular mask. They've also got all the variations, or at least most of the main variations from Scary Movie. And, of course, it was announced last week or the week before that there will be a Scary Movie, what is it, 6 or 5? I forget which one, coming out next year sometime, or maybe the end of 2025. And so this is a good idea to put this out and to throw in a a vintage, makes my back hurt saying that, vintage phone that the Scary Movie killer would have been using, and also characters in Scream. So there you have it. You can get this set. I think that's a nice touch there. They should do a similar thing with an old-fashioned cell phone prop and put that with a knife and the Ghostface mask. They've done the voice changer, but they haven't done that. Now, this really blew me away. I was very surprised by this. This is the Smiler. And if you know the work of gosh, could I say this? And the correctly Birch, is it Birch or Burke? I don't know. I think it's Burke Bench Designs. He has done variations on the Ghostface mask, but then beyond that for years. Incredible mask maker. I'll link his content in the description as well. And they, being Fun World, did have a deal with him several years ago to do several of his masks. I think the pumpkin face, Ghostface, and then also what I think they called the Screamer. And those were his designs that they essentially licensed from him and have mass produced. Now they've got the Smiler. The Smiler has always been, when I see this mask, I see it probably daily in my Facebook visits and Instagram. It always creeps me out, and I'm not really sold on the teeth version. I like without the teeth, where it's just the black, kind of like the Ghostface mask. It's very unsettling, though, and this is a definite buy. I have to think these will be incredibly difficult to find. I could be wrong. They may be as omnipresent as the Screamers were, because you could find those pretty much anywhere. The first year they came out, I only found them at Dollar General, but I was able to get 3 that year. And then Walmart last year had boxes of them. They had just right next to the Ghostface, the EUs, which came back, the aged, and then the bling, they had the Screamers. So will that be the case with the Smiler here? I don't know, but this is a creepy mask. I think it's going to be something that's going to be unknown to the general customer, and so they're going to say, "Oh man, that's creepy and that's cool," and I think it's going to probably not stay on the shelves. It doesn't look as great as the original, obviously. Same with the Screamer, because those are not mass-produced masks. They're works of art by an independent mask maker, and so there's kind of some exaggeration to the features here. Still a purchase, though. I think it looks very cool, and I hope that if this does well this year, we'll get a variation without the teeth, although the teeth are also very unsettling. Moving on now, this is again Ghostface adjacent. I wanted to share this. I just think it's funny, kind of a lopsided grin alien mask, and I think that's really kind of a neat thing. I don't know if this is an original design by an indie mask maker that they're also licensing, but I really like the brow. I like this design, and I like that he's got this grin. That just amuses me, so I thought I'd share it. This is a variation that's really creepy, and perhaps is also a Burke Bench. I don't know. But you have kind of like the Smiler, and this kind of almost, I mean, it looks wet the texture here and the paint, and then you've got the horns here, thinner, longer, it seems, than the ones on the standard devil masks, and you've got you've got a standard poly shroud. Now, my question is, and you won't have an answer because I don't know yet either. Will this and the Smiler, will these be made of that kind of thinner um, vacuform plastic that the Screamers were made from? I don't know. I hope not, but I don't think they've made any in hard plastic, right? ABS plastic or whatever it is they use. So I don't know. I imagine these will be that thinner material. Same for the Alien. And so if you find them, you're going to want to make sure you find one that's not torn, it's not damaged, dented in some way. But now this is also interesting, and again, this is something I share simply because it's related to the masks. So this is a red ghost face mask, or hood rather, and robe. And what's very interesting about it to me is that the texture is not your standard ghost face costume texture, and it looks to me like this was actually made on the pattern of the 25th anniversary costumes, and so it's thicker. The shrouds are actually faithful to Ghostface costume shrouds from the films. And of course, it looks like the glove attachments are going to be the same as those 25th anniversary costumes, which I have. And it's a wonderful costume for the price. And you consider that a screen accurate, completely screen accurate indie robe can be hundreds of dollars. You can get this from Fun World for about 60, depending on where you buy it and shipping and all that. Nice blood spattered mask. I think that is very cool. Big streak of it here and then blood all over. Very cool idea. I like this a little bit more than the one we saw with the devil mask variant, just because it's all red. One thing I don't like, and is probably a very easy fix, why isn't this also red? Right. Now, that's easily fixed in two ways. You could remove this and put red fabric because this is just a bib, right? This is not a full mask. I don't imagine it would be a full shroud, but you could also just tuck this in. And just like with the standard masks that come with a costume, they usually just have the bib there and you tuck it in. Still a very cool look. And I would love to see this. I think a lot of people, I know Drowned Boy Productions has hinted at this. I think it would be great to have a variety of colors for the Ghostface costume. And imagine if you had a green one, right? If you had a white one, I mean, you could do almost every color really. And I think some of them would be very creepy. I think they would really enhance the creep factor in a way that would be different than what we've seen with the standard look. So who knows? Maybe this will be the test of that idea. And then finally, we have this oddity, which has that mask that I showed you, the devil mask there, which is, I imagine, just like the Screamer. So the Screamer you could get, as I mentioned, last year Walmart, and then before that I only found it really at Dollar General. Thinner mask that you would find on like an old-fashioned vacuform mask. But the ones that came with the Screamer costumes were thicker. This looks to be the same case with this kind of demonic demon whatever variant, and it also gets its own costume as the Screamer did, and it's got kind of almost like a robe, kind of religious figure kind of robe here, monk kind of cowl. Very cool. Even if you don't like the mask, you could just wear this with a ghost face mask, and I think it's very cool. So I threw those in there again, connected to masks, and that was the reason that I put this in the next video that will hopefully come out this week. I'll be discussing the costumes and other accessories specifically which will include decorations coming out in 2025 that are going to include Ghostface as a motif. So I thank you very much for joining me here on the Vault of Shadows, and I will see you in the next video.